Hello everybody, I am Hoarder Gamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. Thank you for joining me this week. We've got comic books, a couple of reviews coming your way. We're going to have some video game news, video game information, as it were. We're going to toy around just a little bit. We don't have much to toy around with this week. Unfortunately, you'll find out that if you're doing a live show, sometimes information comes out and it's too soon or too close to the time the show airs to pivot and include it. I'll mention it, but I unfortunately don't have lovely pictures to show. And then we're going to look at the future of comic books all the way to 1 week from today. But I'll say it the special way when we get to that point. Okay, first up, we have Guardians of the Galaxy number 9. Okay, this is Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. Again, two of my favorite comic book writers. They're actually a team, a comic book writing team, and they're doing Star Trek for IDW. They've done a number of books for Marvel, and including with DC, they've done Batman Beyond, Neo. And that's on its second volume right now, or that second volume is just about to finish. So this is a pretty wild story. So it's like a fun outing, kind of, sort of, for Gamora and Mantis to hunt down Drax's human soul. And to do that, they have to go to modern-day Earth and find a robot boy who is in possession of one of the Infinity Stones. The Soul Stone. So it's funny. It's like wackiness with like Mantis and Gamora going to like a biker bar and you see Gamora arm wrestling somebody. Fun. And OBS is disconnected. OBS is reconnected. Okay. See, that's the challenge of having a live show, right? It's a live show, so you never know when that kind of thing is going to happen. OBS is on some BS. I agree, Mike. It's good to see you, Mike. Yeah, it's not too terrible. You know, I don't want to get too caught up on OBS issues. But yeah, here and there. This very short show is not where I would want it to happen. But, you know, let's roll with the punches. Roll with the punches. So, yeah, there's this awesome scene where Mantis basically uses all the different lives that she's lived, all the realities she's been in, and uses those souls to confront the young robot boy. And it's basically like the robot boy is using these souls to attack for him, but he's not like he's evil. It's just he's got all this power and he's not attached to humanity because he's a robot. But basically Mantis is able to talk to him and convince him that, you know, they really need Drax's human soul. And then she also gives him the source of infinite money, much to Gamora's dismay, as a, here you go, you'll probably need this to live on, because you're a robot boy on Earth. It was good. It was good. And through that whole issue, the theme of Mantis trying to talk through problems and not resort to violence constantly works against her. There's like 3 times where it completely works against her and Gamora has to kind of go to town and Mantis has to kind of join. But there, she's able to, you know, have a conversation with the robot boy who goes by the name of Multitudes, because he contains multitudes of souls because he's got the Soul Stone. But yeah, it was really good. And honestly, Guardians of the Galaxy under Lansing and Kelly is probably one of the best runs I've seen. It's a really good book. If you're a fan of the recent James Gunn trilogy, you really should be reading their take on it. It's really well done. Jerry Dugan was really good with it, and Donnie Cates, I believe, wrote it for a while. But Lansing and Kelly currently, they're doing a really bang-up job. Also, there's some weirdness going on. There's a whole thing about like a Planet Groot. And I'll be honest, I've missed a few issues of this book. But now it seems like almost everybody is green colored, has red eyes, and everyone keeps talking about how hilarious Groot is. So there might be something very interesting going on with that I don't quite know about. I'm not sure. Because like even Mantis is green, and both her and Gamora have red eyes, and it's just kind of off-putting and odd. But they don't seem evil. It just sort of seems that like maybe, you know, they're really into Groot now. They're Groot's biggest fan, almost like a cult or something. I don't know. I couldn't quite judge based on this issue, but it was still very good, and it was very entertaining. Okay, everybody. Now we have some video game news. And speaking of BS, as Mike put about OBS is on some BS, we're going to start with Fantastic. I'm not exactly sure if that's how you pronounce their name, but for about 5 years, they had a game coming out called The Day Before, and the way they represented it made it look amazing. Like all the features you could think of in like an MMO were in this game, and everything looked awesome. It looked really good. And like, you know, you were hunting zombies and stuff, and it just looked like a really great take on the whole concept. Well, it went into early access, I want to say last Thursday. Okay? $40 on Steam. Early access. And lo and behold, the game is absolutely not what they represented. It is a extraction shooter. But that's just about it. That's pretty much all that's there. It's like a shell of a game. It's possible that an AI routine was used for one of the characters that talks to you. Graphically, it's not impressive, except for the city. I will be honest, it's a small city, but that looks rather nice. But everything else is incredibly rough looking and completely misrepresented. And like, basically the way I put this, you know, because I do notes here, The Day Before sells 100,000 copies. Let me first explain that. It sold like over 200,000 copies. But about 100,000 copies were returned via Steam, because you have like I think it's like 2 hours or something from when a game is started to be played that you can get your money back. So like half the copies. I don't know if everyone else was like, screw it, I'm out $40, but apparently they still sold like 100,000. And the company basically said, peace out, bitches. And I honestly would love to know how this is not fraud. Like $40 a copy for early access, and less than a week later, like 4 days later, see ya. And the audacity, they just rebranded. Fantastic just changed your name to 8 points. Wow. Like, I gotta tell you, I know some people were like mocking people that spent the $40, but if you look at the misrepresentation, if you look at the videos they dropped, if you look at the tweets, which you'll have trouble doing now, a lot of these videos, a lot of this information mysteriously disappeared, and it's kind of hard to find online. But if you look at that stuff, and you can find that stuff, they were incredibly misrepresenting the game. And they basically said, like, the servers are still going to keep running, but we aren't going to be able to do any updates. We're just done with the game. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. And this actually ties into our next video game information or news. I don't know if it's news. I don't know if I'd call it news. But Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. Or actually, it's Suicide Squad kill the Justice League. Okay. Is getting a lot of coverage this week, but not from WB Games. Miller, with the octuplet of M's, has tweeted a picture of a letter that takes the piss out of F-Fantastics. See, we go back to the whole F-Fantastic letter that they put out. You know, the whole thanks for all the money letter. In it, he describes various modes coming to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. A Horde mode called Raising Hell. I love Horde modes. I am a huge fan of well-done Horde modes. Especially like if at a certain level a boss shows up, things like that. You know, things maybe we've seen in that 20-minute video or the February video, like the tanks, you know, that people freaked out about because they had those purple things on them, purple targets or whatever. I think that would be really cool. And I think a Horde mode would bring a lot of people in, especially being that the game is cross-play and cross-progression. So that's just a lot of fun. You got 10 or 15 minutes to, like, you know, just have some fun with some friends. Horde mode's great. Maybe up to a half hour, you know? Okay. Then a PvPE, and this is where I was floored. Because Miller says it's a la Gambit. I do not like PvP. I love PvE in games. However, and Hero Mentor, if he was here, could attest to this. I'm a huge fan of Gambit when I'm playing Destiny 2. To me, Gambit is the best take on PvPE that I have played. It's a lot of fun. The big focus is on PvE, but PvP players will, like, you know, here and there, like, pop in on your side of the map, like teleport and stuff like that. Usually they're not going to be all over on your side of the map because, like, actually I don't know if they can. I think it's almost like a parallel thing. Anyway, it's a very cool game mode in Destiny, and I think it'll be very cool here. So the letters they used were QVK, and Miller believes the K is for killers, but is not quite sure what Q is. So it's something like versus killers, but not quite sure what the Q stands for, or if the Q is not the actual letter that's supposed to be there. That's supposed to throw people off or something. Okay, and this one, okay? This one Marvel's Avengers did not start out with, but this game will have this in the beginning. You have the ability to have multiples of Suicide Squad members in your party. That is awesome. That is awesome, because one of the issues I thought of right away is you're going to have everyone that wants to play Harley Quinn. You're going to have a lot of people that want to play King Shark, right? And, like, okay, well, that's a problem if everyone's playing Harley and King Shark and you can only have one of each in your team. You could have 4 Harleys. You could have 4 King Sharks. You could have 2 Harleys and 2 King Sharks. You could have 2 Captain Boomerangs, a Deadshot, and a Harley. Like, you could just, you know, so many permutations. Okay? So I think that's great. I like that a lot. And what's neat, too, is then you probably have a different cosmetic for your Harley or King Shark, so you don't, like, get confused. Like, obviously, you're playing your character, but I could see in the heat of battle seeing someone that looked exactly like your character in that exact outfit be like, oh, you know? Okay. Plus, a former employee of Rocksteady mentioned suicide missions in a tweet. Okay? And this harkens back to something that Miller actually tweeted about, something called a suicide mission, but wasn't quite sure what it was. The tweet reacted to official artwork from Suicide Squad baddies, Batman, Superman, Flash, and Green Lantern, and basically it showed a picture of them, but then the retweet with a quote said boss battles and showed like a big red X being like, no, boss battles aren't cool. Kind of like that whole meme with Drake, right? Where he like waves at the other thing he likes. Okay. And then underneath that, though, it says suicide missions with a green check mark. So it could be that's what boss battles are called, or suicide missions could be more difficult boss battles because this is a game as a service. So that's possible too. That's very possible too. Okay? And Miller has been right about a great many things. So while in most cases you would say take this with a, big grain of salt or something, I don't know. I mean, I really truly believe most of this is going to be correct. I'm pretty sure that the information that the former employee Dell put out will be, Okay, and something that will be making Sony players very upset, even though they've had Spider-Man for them, their lonesome for 2018. Since 2018, they've had Spider-Man games to play. A tweet from Xbox makes it look like Blade from Arcane Lion. Again, this is the Arcane that is in France, not the one that worked on Redfall. There's some goofball that was on Twitter who could not get that through their head. Anyway, it basically looks like it's going to be a Microsoft exclusive. And I mean, business-wise, that makes sense. I mean, think about it. Yeah, Sony has Spider-Man, okay, and they had a game in 2018, 2020 Miles Morales, and this year the excellent Spider-Man 2, okay? And they're also working on a Wolverine game. The Insomniac Studio is working on that too. All for Sony, exclusive to Sony, okay? Now we're going to go back a bit. I want to say 2018, I think it was. I think it was 2018. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Now, most people that played it have fond memories, at least like with the single player. Multiplayer was rough. It's like the system had trouble handling it, to be honest with you. But I really liked the game. Played it in single player. I beat the campaign like 3 or 4 times. Collected like rainbow ISOs, I think they're called. I liked it. I thought it was cool. That was their exclusive, okay? Even Nintendo had a Marvel Games exclusive, Ultimate Alliance 3. So, it only makes sense that Xbox and Microsoft would have their exclusive. Also, they skew more adult. So, Blade makes a lot of sense for Xbox. So, and I think it'll be weird to see a lot of people on PlayStation be salty about this because, I mean, how did Xbox players feel about, not being able to do the Spider-Man games, right? Because, I mean, those are excellent games. They looked excellent, and they were. So, I would prefer not having the exclusivity. I'm not a big fan of game exclusivity. But again, from a business standpoint, it just makes sense. Okay. And yeah, that's basically all of our gaming news this week. Now, it is time for us to toy around. And first up, we have... Let's see. How do I want to start this up? Let's do the thing that's not all that exciting. An ad! We have an ad, everybody. No, I think last week we did too. It was G.I. Joe something. Here Hasbro Pulse is doing a Marvel Legends series ad. And this comes back to something very early in this episode where I mention some information comes out and it's a little bit too late for me to pivot and fully include it. Well, one of the big things they're going to be looking at is pre-orders for X-Men 97 Series 2. Okay? Jean Grey with 2 profiles. So you get her with the ponytail, you get her with the shorter hair. A great looking figure. Great looking action figure. Scott Summers with multiple blasts. Looks really nice, okay? And Nightcrawler. Those are the 3 main X-Men members you get in this series. Now, they also add the Goblin Queen and Executioner. And the rebranded Magneto. The one where you see the M on his chest and he's got the flowing gray or white locks of hair. So, yeah, that's the new series. And unfortunately, I don't have any pictures to show, but they look very nice. And pre-orders are supposed to start early 2024. So, I mean, if I were to wager first or second week of January is probably what they're talking about, I would think. But tomorrow they're going to show those in more detail, apparently. And then they're going to have some other information as well. So 11 a.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Central. Keep in mind, too, some pre-orders for things could go live tomorrow. It's possible. So, but yeah, that's our first little thing. We start with an ad. Next up, I'm going to mention the name Hero Mentor again because one of his favorite characters has an ass-kicking action figure that just went for pre-order today. Look at this take on Red Hood. This is the black and white collector's edition Red Hood with accent. What they mean by that are the glorious red accents on the hood and on the bat that's on Jason's chest. That is, to me, an excellent looking figure. Comes with a really cool card and a stand to put the card in. Now, this is where things get difficult. I don't know if it's still available. It was today at Big Bad Toy Store, an exclusive to them. So, yeah, $29.99. I think it looks really good, though. I'm really impressed with it, and I even have another better picture of it to show. Look at that. Look how they handled the hood. Look at the bat on his chest. The only thing that is an issue with this toy is that he doesn't come with guns. He's got empty holsters. Now, I don't know if that's a McFarlane thing or it's a DC thing. I'm not sure. But I really think that the characters that are more adult, especially in the collector line at like 30 a piece, they should come with weapons. Now, McFarlane does offer weapon packs. I think they're like 15 or 20 bucks and you get a whole mess of weapons. I think it's also like 10 or 15 weapons in each pack. There's like 3 or 4 of them. So you can do that, and there's probably going to be like 2 pistol type weapons or handgun type weapons you could use, but it's not ideal, you know? I just wish that they could allow that, you know? Oh well. Again, I don't know if that is actually on McFarlane or if it's on DC, so I'm not exactly sure. And I wasn't trying to do a bit of the video from Common People there. I wasn't trying to do that. The Pulp song, Common People. Okay. Anyway, definitely showing my age there. Definitely showing my age. Next up, we are going to look at the future of comic books. The future all the way to 1 week from today. And first up, we have Superior Spider-Man #2. Okay. This has been really neat because we've gotten the reveal, okay, that Spider-Boy, when he was like talking about all these things that Peter Parker didn't know about, it's because the Spider-Man he was with was Superior Spider-Man. And it's really cool to see how all this stuff is panned out. Dan Slott is doing a great job bringing back the whole Superior Spider-Man, and I really enjoyed issue 1 a lot. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Even though we did do issue 1, I might actually review this one as well. I believe it's a limited series. I think it's only 5 or 6 issues. I'm not sure. But I very much liked issue 1, and I liked what was kind of like the intro to it, or the... I don't know. There's a book before it that came out too, like a month before issue 1. I think it's like Superior Spider-Man Returns or something. Okay. Next up we have Wonder Woman 4. Now, I've mentioned before, sometimes I'll show a book and the cover just because it's gorgeous. Look at this mosaic style artwork of Wonder Woman. I think this looks so good. I really like this. This is a variant cover for issue 4. And Tom King is doing a really good job. Basically, the US government is turning against the Amazons and possibly at some point maybe going to wage war on Themyscira. Not sure exactly if it's going to lead there, but it seems to be. And so you have that going on in the background, and basically Sovereign, who's this new leader, taking control of the government. Now, on the other side of that story is Wonder Woman looking to make the perfect day for a sick child. So I'm looking forward to this. I think this will be a really good issue. Issues 1, 2, and 3 have been very good. So I very much like Tom King's take on Wonder Woman. Next up we have something dark and scary, perfect for Christmas. Deviant number 2. Perfect title too, right? A serial killer dressed up as Santa Claus murdered people many years ago. Now they're in like an insane asylum, and someone is kind of interviewing them, and the person that's interviewing and talking to them feels a connection to these current murders that are going on that are basically copycat killings. Now, this is a long story, 9 issues. So I expect there to be some really crazy, wild twists, and issue 1 was great. So issue 2 of Deviant also then comes out next week, right here. Right here's the cover. The book doesn't come out here. I don't have the books where I can just give them to people. Okay. Next up we have Batman Off-World number 2. The first Batman Off-World was awesome. The whole idea was that Batman faces off against an alien that is, for whatever reason, working for a gangster in Gotham. And he's like, whoa, I am so out of my depth here. What am I going to do? So just like with all his other training and learning and everything that, you know, Bruce has done to be Batman, he decides he's going to go into outer space and basically I'll damn near pick a fight with aliens. And issue 1 was great. It was great. And I expect issue 2 to be great as well. It's Jason Aaron's first take on writing Batman. And it's a clever take. It's an interesting one that you really don't get to see too often. The type of story with Batman you don't get to see too often. And I really like it. Let's see. And finally, also from the writer, current writer of Wonder Woman, Tom King, Animal Pound, being compared to Orwell and Animal Farm. Basically, there's an uprising, and the animals that are in the pound get loose. Now, I don't know if this is a world where, you know, they're humans and everything, or if it's all anthropomorphic animals. I'm not exactly sure. But I think Tom King will do a really good job with it. And the artist is also a very well-known artist as well. So I think this will be a good book. Animal Pound number 1 also comes out next week. And everybody, that is it for the very near future of comics. Well, at least up to next week. You know, there's going to be more after next week. It's not the end of comics. Now, everybody, we aren't quite done. We have one final comic book review, and it is a feast, okay, for the eyes, for, I guess, the mind. That makes it sound like it's a really complex puzzle or something, right? But no, it's great writing and it's great art. Batman City of Madness. Madness! Number 2. There's so much madness in this book, I had to say it twice. Okay, so in the first issue of this series by Christian Ward, I want to say it's going to be 3 books total. Also, they're a unique size. This is one of the Black Label books, and some of those are going to be kind of this unique size, more of a square than regular comic book, shapes. And some aren't. They're not always going to be this size. Now, I will be honest, for collecting and or just putting them on a shelf and everything, the size is not ideal. If I could have my druthers, these would be in this same format, like a regular comic book. But I digress. I believe the artwork is gorgeous in here, and I think that's the reason why they did that. So Christian Ward wrote it and did the art, and this story focuses on Batman teaming up with, of all things, wait for it, the Court of Owls. Because the Court of Owls accidentally let loose the Batman Below. Basically like a Cthulhu take on Batman. And that got loose in the end of the first book. Here, the Batman Below has been busy. He's found a young boy whose father was killed recently. And just like Batman, he's decided to make this boy his Robin. Okay? So he's trying to convince him to kill another person. Even though the person that the Batman Below wants this new Robin to kill is not the person who killed his father. So what happens is you get a really cool moment with the ventriloquist and Mr. Scarface, where the ventriloquist is actually killing people, which is something that really usually doesn't happen. Everyone since book 1 has been kind of on edge. The villains have been worse than usual, and it's basically like a darkness and pervasive evil that's in Gotham has gotten loose. In this book, you find out that it's not just the Batman Below, there's also a Gotham Below. A dark, twisted shadow version of Gotham City. And in it, dark, twisted versions of every citizen, including villain, in Gotham. The Court of Owls needs Batman to stop the Batman Below and to seal up and close the door, the entrance to this dark, twisted version of Gotham City, Gotham Below. And there's some great stuff with Two-Face having conversation with Big Bad Harv, or whatever you want to call, Harvey Dent having a conversation with Big Bad Harv or Two-Face, whatever you want to call that. But here it's like, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's the dark version of Harvey's other half from the Gotham Below. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. And here it wants Harvey to be a hero. This has been a really good book so far. I think there's only one more volume left. It comes out every 2 to 3 months. So, again, it's a little bit more expensive. It's $6.99, but it's comic book length, so it's right about like 20, 30 pages. But it's also, this larger square look to it. but I highly recommend it. If you're a Batman fan, if you're a fan of like Lovecraft stuff, definitely check this out. It's really creepy, really dark, and the artwork is gorgeous. So, also, there really aren't a ton of Court of Owls stories. You know, there's the Snyder run, there's like Batman Eternal, they figure into that. I believe there were some issues of Nightwing, but like it's not. Also, Talon, that was its own series, but that's many years ago. I want to say that was like New 52 or something. So yeah, very cool stuff, very dark. Probably not the Christmas theme, but still extremely good. Okay, everybody. I want to thank you very much for joining me this week. And again, I don't harp on it or anything like that, but if you like the show, feel free to subscribe. We've got a lot of great programming, including Nerding Out. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for watching this week. If you want to watch more of me, heaven only knows why, twitch.tv/Hoarder Gamer. Currently, I'm doing the holiday event for Diablo 4, DC Universe Online, and I'm very much looking forward to, of course, as you might guess, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League in late January. So, again, want to thank Doomkiller HD and Doom Squad Gaming for letting me borrow your channel. Thank you. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. And I would say happy holidays, but I'll have another episode next Wednesday. So that's probably when I'll say happy holidays, possibly. Okay, everybody have a great week, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.